Okay, hello everyone. So today I'm going to be going over doing a literature search, like how to use psych info, that stuff. Of course, you're going to need um, for finding articles and also for doing your research summary, all that stuff. Okay, so let's go over that. Actually, I'll pull that up real quick. Okay. So there's the rubric down here. I'll let you look through that on your own. Um, By the way, all the rubrics should be with the assignments, and it's definitely recommended that you have a look through those so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm looking for, what you might lose points for, stuff like that. Definitely do that before you submit the assignment or even before you work on it. Okay. So just make sure everything is in one document. What you're going to do is go to libraries or lib.colostate.edu and select A to Z database list, which I'll go over or in a second, actually. So okay, you're going to complete three psych info literature searches related to your Springboard article. So obviously say what your article is of the three, and then the three searches you conducted. So you have to include the keyword, number of hits. These ones are optional, so you don't have to have those, but those might help narrow your search. Okay. Then answer which search generated the best articles and why. Don't just say because it had the most articles. So you should read the abstracts and identify articles that you're interested in using paper and explain what was a good way to find those. What search generated the best articles. Okay. So choose one article from your search. It must be a primary source as discussed in class. Um, include the reference elements, exact quotes, and that'll be in a different lecture, like how to reference and stuff like that. You can go over that part on your own. And then, of course, here's the last part where you're going to summarize the articles. Okay. So since you're going to be using these for your research proposals and all that, you definitely don't want to just pick random articles that come up. Like don't pick the first three articles you find or three articles you search for rather. Because if they're not really relevant, it's going to make it a lot harder to write your introduction. So try to actually find stuff that is, relevant to something you might want to research, or you think will at least be useful when you actually write your research proposal. Okay. So on to doing the actual search. So I just typed in Colorado State Library. You can type in the address I gave a second ago. That's just the first one here. So this is a great site. You can use it to find articles for your paper or for any paper. So it's important to know how to use this stuff for this class and for future classes and future research projects. So what I want you to do for this particular assignment is go to data or A to Z database list. So this is going to give you a list of all the search tools like academic search for your Google Scholar, Web of Science, so on and so on, that you can use. So we're going to use psych info, but at other points when you're doing research, like mainly in other classes and stuff, you can try using some of these other databases. So academic search Premier will be much broader. It's not just psych stuff. So it works basically the same, but you can search for, broader stuff if you want to include stuff from other disciplines outside of psychology. So if that's kind of, if you're, say, a health psychology research, you might want to include stuff from health sciences, not just health psychology. So for something like that, it'd be good to do academic search premier. If you're doing something that is more narrowly confined to psychology, then you're going to want to use PsycInfo, because obviously that will be just psychology articles. Okay, so let's find that one. So PsycInfo, it's all alphabetical, obviously. So, and by the way, there's lots of ones you could look for here if you want to try to narrow it down. So like this one here is more specifically therapy, social work, stuff about PTSD, so on and so forth. But for now, let's stick with PsycInfo. Oh, here it is. Okay, so click on that. And then it'll probably ask you to log in if you're off campus. Go ahead and do that. Okay. So there's a lot of things you can do here, a lot of different search tools you can use. To start, let's just go with something really basic. So let's say I'm not going to choose one of the Springboard articles, but I'll just pick another topic as a demonstration. Say I'm interested in recognition memory. So type that in here, hit search. And it gives us quite a few articles. So each of these articles, a lot of them you can just find the PDF or the HTML right on the site. Sometimes you need to go to find it at CSU. They should be able to send you a copy or scan a copy and send it to you. But sometimes you might actually have to go to the library. I'm not sure exactly to what degree they're open right now, so bear that in mind. But you should be able to get just about anything from just finding the PDF. So if you wanted to do that, though, if you wanted to get it from the library, you could go here, register, all that stuff, if that's something you feel you need to do. Okay. But if you're not doing that, like probably don't need to, you can just go through these articles. And usually you can also, if you go to find it at CSU, you can often just get a PDF that way, even if the PDF is not listed on the site here. So like this one obviously goes right to the PDF. This one, you might click on this and then you can still access it online. You just need to fill out some information, stuff like that. Okay, so obviously searching recognition memory was way too broad. So as you can see, you got 16,000 articles here. So let's look at a few ways we can narrow down our search. So you can actually select certain attributes like all text. That just means that it's going to include anything with recognition memory. So it could be an article, so not just stuff with recognition memory in the title, like this article here. I wanted to change it to just the title, then it's only going to include articles that actually have recognition memory in the title and not just at some point in the paper. So if you search recognition memory, you might get, a bunch of papers that they mention recognition memory kind of at one throwaway point in the paper, but that's not really the focus. So I'm going to try, stuff with just recognition memory in the title. Searching that. So that's much better. That narrows it down quite a bit. There's a bunch of other things you can play around with here too. So you can use and, so does it include recognition, let's say recognition memory and familiarity. Try that. now it's going to include anything obviously with recognition memory, as well as familiarity. So that's kind of just a specific type of recognition memory. So that kind of helps narrow it down further. You can change this stuff, or so maybe I'm interested in something recognition memory or not. So I'm looking at, maybe say I'm looking at a specific type of recognition memory that doesn't include familiarity. Well, that I can do here, and that's going to narrow it. Well, that narrow it down? Yeah, whatever. It did from the earlier search at least. So there's more things you can do here. Another good way is just go to advanced search. So you can kind of have a look through these. You can apply related words if you want. That's going to broaden it. A big thing here is make sure you click scholarly or peer-reviewed journals, because remember, for your papers, you have to have peer-reviewed journal articles, not secondary sources, and not popular media stuff like books, news articles, and that stuff. You want journal articles, so make sure you click that one. You can play around with the year. Peer-reviewed journal, you want that too. If you're, say, looking at different age groups, that's something you could include here. So on and so forth. So do I want to look at brain imaging, empirical study, replication, so on and so on. Okay. All right. I'm not sure what the difference is between the advanced search and clicking only peer-reviewed, but and just clicking academic journals here. But to be safe, we'll click both of those. So academic journal here, and then under advanced search, make sure it's peer-reviewed. Okay. So obviously, this is something kind of an exercise for you to do, but searching a general topic is pretty, obviously going to give you a lot of results to sort through. So you could try some more general ones, and then you could try being a little more specific. So let's see so say I kind of gave the example of maybe I'm interested in recognition memory and specifically familiarity, but maybe I want it also to be older adults. There we go. Now we got a lot narrower of a search. That's good. So once you've kind of played around with the search a bit, and you've kind of found some potential articles, the big thing you want to do is you want to read the abstracts, not just the titles. So when you're compiling articles to include in a paper, a good thing to do is to kind of do a series of cuts, so to speak. So let's say you kind of start with, just searching by titles, and I look through the titles and I think, well, okay, this one's good, this one's not good, this one's good, this one's not good, so on and so on. Just open those up, a different tab, the ones you think are good, and that's going to give you obviously quite a few. So kind of your first search is just by the words, and then through scanning the titles. But then the last thing you want to do, well, actually maybe not the last, but is to read the abstracts. That's kind of the next cut. So I don't know if you've been taught this in another course or not, but every paper, or psych paper rather, has to have what's known as an abstract. This is just a short paragraph summary of the paper. And it's really there. It's kind of designed to actually help a lot with a literature search, so that people can read the abstract and just know what the paper is about, and decide if they want to read it or not. So obviously, you don't want to get in a stage where you read a whole paper and decide, okay, and that takes like a couple hours or an hour or whatever, and then you say, okay, well, that was actually not relevant. So that was kind of a waste of time. That's where the abstracts are really useful. So you just read the abstracts and say, okay, well, this one's using ERPs. That's like a neurological measure. I'm not really interested in ERPs here. I want to use a behavioral measure. So I'm not going to include this one. This. Okay, that one's also electrophysiology. Maybe I read the abstract. I don't like it too much. Um, let's go back to our results. Say I click on this one and I read the abstract and I said, okay, that's good. That's good. I'll keep that one. So now you've kind of narrowed it down or cut it down a whole lot further through the abstract. So maybe you get it down to even less articles here. Well, once you've read the abstracts, then of course you can move on to actually read the paper. Um, then you might still read the paper and decide I don't like this one, I don't want to include it. That's fine. Then obviously find a different one. So that's about all you need to know. I'll cover the, summarizing and how to not plagiarize and that stuff in a different lecture. As always, just let me know if you have any questions.